At first glance, one would say Shadowcaster looks like a long, hard, and somewhat complicated role-playing game, when in reality it's nothing more than a simple arcade game with a few twists here and there. As plots go, the one for Shadowcaster is pretty bad. It's a thrown-together story that could be written by your average sixth grader, not something thought up by the great minds at Origin. Of all the bad things, there is one nice point about the plot. There's absolutely no mention of the Avatar or Britannia whatsoever. The gameplay is simple. Find a monster, click on your weapon of choice, and click the left mouse button as fast as you possibly can. This can get a little old and is probably not that good for your mouse, but seeing the monsters collapse before you does seem to give you that feeling of triumph, no matter how sore your wrist is. The monster variety in Shadowcaster is about average, from skeletons to bats. My only complaint is that the monsters don't make much sense. Unlike Ultima Underworld, you don't have tribes of goblins or clans of trolls. You really just have random monsters. The game's main claim to fame is morphing, the ability to change your character from one shape to another. You start the game with no morphing ability, but you soon find a stone pillar, which somewhat resembles the Washington Monument. This obelisk gives you the ability to morph into a Marin, a cat-like humanoid with 4 arms. In the early levels, this is the most productive shape. There are 6 forms that you are able to morph into. This gives you plenty of diversity. Morphing is a pretty original idea, but overall, it doesn't seem to add much to the game, just a few perks here and there. One of Origin's other small improvements is their new save game feature. This small improvement lets you see a picture of the surroundings that you are in before you load up your game. It also gives you the ability to write at least a paragraph about the spot you have chosen to save in. This should save gamers time and effort when it comes to loading a saved game. Even though most people will only write a few words, it's still a nice touch. The auto mapping has also changed. It's certainly not as pretty as the ones in Ultima Underworld 1 and 2, but it does give you more viewing power. You get a close-up view of the area you're in, plus a larger view of the entire level. This is definitely useful when you're trying to search every nook and cranny of the level. The graphics of Shadowcaster are by far its strongest point. As you can see, they are very detailed and colorful. The fog effect is plain awesome. The pictures do get pixelated as you get real close, but Origin is improving this in every game. There's no doubt that the games to come will be mind-blowing. The light source shading is really well done. It adds a lot more realism to the game. This is probably from the help Origin got from id Software. Shadowcaster was sort of a joint effort between the two companies. The ability to swim in water was in the first Underworld. Shadowcaster has gone even further and allowed you to swim underwater. However, going underwater with anyone but the Kappa, the frog morph, is ill-advised. Origin has done well to make the viewing screen much larger. It gives you more visibility and helps with the suspension of disbelief. Unfortunately, for those of you not lucky enough to own a 486, this option is out of the question. The screen size is adjustable with a click of this blue gem, giving you a variety of screen formats to choose from. Another one of Shadowcaster's so-called big improvements is that part of the world is outside. While you are obviously outside, this looks more like a dungeon with random trees than a forest or garden. I would definitely say that the above-ground scenes need some work. To say that Shadowcaster is just like Ultima Underworld 1 and 2 would be a cop-out. The graphic interface may be just like them, but that's where the similarities stop. The plot has totally changed, not to mention the fact that Shadowcaster is really more like an arcade adventure game instead of a role-playing game. Another reason why Shadowcaster falls a little short of being a role player is the fact that there are almost no NPCs, and the few that they have little or nothing to say. NPCs are usually a big part of the game. Despite all of the bad things I've said about this game, I think if you like the Ultima Underworld series, you should definitely enjoy Shadowcaster. With its little quests and incredible graphics, those arcaders and light role players should enjoy it. But if you're one of those hardcore types that doesn't have the reflexes of a cat, you might just want to pass this one up.